Right, guys, hello. In readiness for the Valentine's Day, shops would have you last for about a fortnight, wouldn't they? You know, promotion. This is all about sharing the love of UW. Okay. Um, we want to promote this to lots of people um, because it is a great opportunity. But there are pitfalls to prospecting. And I'm going to say to you that one of the pitfalls is often that we book appointments and then people don't show. And I know that happens lots. Okay, so I'm going to rhetorically ask this question. What's the different ways we make appointments? Okay, so they are, for example, face to face. Yeah. Could be at a 20K giveaway event, maybe in store, fate fair, county show, something like that. We make them over the phone. Yeah. And sometimes we do receive, weirdly, sometimes we receive emails that have been perhaps a referral, or you get those green analytical people that do everything over the internet, and then you might get a text or something that comes through that they're interested. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what's the best type of appointment? Well, the best type of appointment is face to face. Always has been, always will be, because I believe people feel our energy, they feel our sincerity. Um, they, I'm not that spiritual, but I know this stuff goes on. Okay, I can't really describe it. I don't know. I'm not into the vibrations. I don't know what vibrations are, but what I do know, when you're with somebody, I think there's um, a good feeling that can happen. And I also believe that people read our body language when we're with them. That's massive. They may not consciously be aware of it, but they certainly, it's subconsciously, it's going on. So I'm going to say to you, what would be the best way to make an appointment? Well, ideally, it would be face to face, but it doesn't very often happen, does it? The best way of making them face to face is attending a 20K giveaway. Maybe if you're one of those brave people that goes out and does neighbour letters, you would make a face to face appointment there and then on the door. Possibly. There are some people that do that really well. I can't knock it. I really can't knock it. I've done it in the past in a very different sort of format way, but it has surprised me. But I think, again, people can feel your energy. But most of us will make appointments over the phone. Is that true? Because it's the quick way. By the way, top tip. Whatever you do, never just video call somebody. WhatsApp video call them, and they don't know it's coming in. Has anyone ever been the recipient of that? Because I have. Yes, hello, Steve. No, actually, I've had this from a customer. And I mean, honestly, do they not think to themselves, well, that person could be quietly indisposed? They could be eating their dinner. God, they could be anywhere. They could be in their nightie. They could be sat on the loo. They could be in a supermarket. It could be absolutely anywhere. So actually, is that an appropriate way to contact someone? Probably not. Okay. Without a shadow of a doubt, I would say the telephone is. Now, there are some people that believe you can make lots of appointments purely through texting. Now, that could be WhatsApping texting. It could be, what's it called? Facebook Messenger. Is there a sort of texting message on Instagram? I don't know, because I'm not on Instagram, so I don't know. TikTok? I don't know. But there's lots of methods. Now, I'm going to talk about the texting bit first because it's very controversial. Okay. It seems to be the chosen method of young people. Now, the reason I say it's controversial is I'm going to give you some real instances. This isn't made up, this is real. When my girls were younger, teenagers, late teens, 18, 19, 20, we lived in quite a large 4-bedroom house. And when the whole mobile phone thing came in, my girls would be going out together for the evening, and instead of putting their heads out of the door of their bedroom to say, Carly, what are you wearing? They text each other from their bedrooms. I mean, honestly, really? I have spoken to a lady today that tells me in a large organization, they're all there, but they still have Zoom meetings, even though they could all get in a room. I mean, what is this about? I don't know, but I feel it's a downward slippery slope. And I'm going to explain why I feel texting is not the ideal method, okay? Because text can easily be misinterpreted. I have very sadly done some of this, not meaningfully, but we all know that ambiguity is there. And I'm going to read you the problem with texting for appointments, okay? So I call it ping pong texting. Do you know what I mean? Backwards and forwards. Now it's what we call one-way communication. So you could send a message in whatever format, text, WhatsApp, whatever, you could send it. You might get a response immediately. That'd be good. You might wait a minute. You might wait an hour. You could wait a day. You could wait a week, a month. You might never get a reply because it's not actually communication. It's what we call making a statement. That's the kind of thing you do when you're setting like an event up. You know, when you say Power Up is on the 20th and the 21st of April. That's something you send out because it's a fixed thing and it doesn't require an immediate response back. You're telling someone a statement. Does that make sense? I'm not quite sure why younger people, but they call it chatting, don't they? They say they're chatting on Facebook. They're not. They're actually messaging each other. There is no passion. There's no intonation. There's none of that stuff that goes on. Sometimes the person won't understand our text. How can we avoid it? Well, text messages are very easy to misinterpret. Texting is what we call low-level communication. Prospects don't hear our tone of voice. They can't see our facial expressions. They can't see our body language. They won't read our body language. They can't even see us smiling. Do you know that when you phone someone, they can actually hear your smile? Yeah? And can't you hear when somebody's down in the mouth? Yeah? So here's an example of prospects misinterpreting what we say. So we say, oh, this is easy. You can do it. Do you know what the prospect could interpret this as? What? Do you think I'm dumb? Don't you think I don't? Don't you realise I don't have time? Wait, if it's that easy, why do you need me? What do I need to do? Sounds like there's a catch. Now, can I just say, if you picked up the phone, that stuff doesn't happen. Because if it does, and it's rare, it could be easily ironed out, can't it? Immediately. So let's just make this plain. There has never been a better way than speaking. It's what humans do, it's how we engage. And I keep saying this, humans don't work on logic and common sense, they work on feelings. So people hear our feelings. Now, I'm now going to give you the biggest reason why I want you to pick up the phone and speak to people. I had a nightmare of a conversation with two Sky advisors on behalf of my mum, all on loudspeaker. And it was last Thursday, and Juan thankfully was there as well. It was a 45-minute call that could have been done in 5. But first of all, we went off to India, and I had an Indian on the phone, and I'm not racist, but the primary thing that was irritating, she couldn't understand me and I couldn't understand her. She might have been reading off a script, English, but she couldn't understand what it meant. And we English have some very strange phrases, don't we? We say one thing that means something. They don't understand that at all. Yeah. In the end, the frustration was so bad because I was going over and over and over the same thing. I asked her, please, she be kind enough to send me back to England? I said, I'm so sorry, but I need somebody that understands and speaks English. So I get in front of somebody else who is English, but now he's condescending. He's rude. He's insolent because I think they're told whatever happens, do not let them cancel. Now, why were we cancelling? Because my father used to love sports. He was an armchair sports person, you know, you name it, tennis, cricket, football, snooker. But mum isn't. So mum is going to be paying £30 a month for something she has no need of. No point. And the contract was out on the 22nd of October 2022, but nobody'd asked that question, whereas I'm used to asking questions, and I found that out. This guy asked my mum for her full name, her address, postcode, date of birth, twice in the space of 10 minutes. Please tell me why he needed it twice. It was just awful. I'm now going to tell you why I'm bothering to say this. Because he was hiding behind the internet. He was faceless, never going to make actual contact, proper visual contact with anybody. He didn't care that he was deeply hurting my feelings when I said to him, we've just lost my father on Christmas Day. You're on loudspeaker. My mum's here. She's coping with an awful lot of emotional stuff. Can we get this sorted as fast as possible? He didn't give a damn because he was never going to deal with us. So now I'm going to say to all of you, why we are different, UW, why we make the difference is we form relationships. And we form them visually and we form them over the telephone, and people get to build a relationship with us. That's our massive USP. It's huge. So if you're a person that doesn't want to form relationships, if you don't want to pick up the phone and speak to people or see people, I actually say you're on a hard one. So when we're prospecting, we have got to find these people that are not afraid of this or are willing to learn. Yeah. Was that an example to understand the relationships? Yeah. So what I'm now going to say is, how do we make these appointments that won't break? Whoa. So I'm going to get, there's loads of examples. I'm going to tell you the easiest ones to make that don't break are referrals. Isn't that obvious? It's somebody that's possibly already spoken to their friend or family member, and that family member has agreed to receive a call. How wonderful is that? You know, that's likely to be set up by you and the recipient the referee that you call, and what you can say is, that's possibly going to happen. That is the best scenario. Yeah. The next one is a referral where they're not expecting you. When you ring them up and say, you and I have got a mutual friend in the name of, and you'd say probably their friend or family member, and they said to me, they're absolutely positive that you'd be delighted for me to make this call to you. That's what I say. You will be delighted for me to make this call to you. They've told me to ring you. And I know that you didn't know I was going to ring, but they're so excited for you that they've said, please call them. Now that is a way of what we call giving them the anticipation, setting the scene. Yeah. So referrals are the best ones that are unlikely to break down. Okay, what's the next best? The next best is actually meeting someone. Now that's possibly a 20k giveaway event. Hence why all those years ago, I came up with this idea of being able to deal with people we didn't know that have no feelings with us. We have no relationship. They don't have any subjective feelings about us. Oh, it's Lisa. What does she know about gas and electric? What they see us as, they meet us as, is somebody that is possibly an expert already. And if they come over and we engage, we are forming rapport. We're doing it there and then. How amazing is that? We've got the chance for them to see our body language, for them to show us the bill. We've got a chance to already build so much. Making that appointment there is less likely to break down. However, I'm going to caveat this, and this is the key, guys, to all of it. So you've done what we call the alternative close. They've said, yeah, we need to meet. They think the savings look great. Yeah, this would be good to have a like for like comparison. What a great way of saying it. Please never come out with the sales spiel, a no obligation quotation. It's straight out of the salesman double glazing book. All right. Please don't ever use that. I always say, look, there's no skin off your nose. What I'll do, meet up, come and see you if you like me to come and see you. And I'm going to show you and give you all the information so you can make a proper informed decision. What's that saying? I'm giving you all the power. For all those people that want to know everything, they feel, oh, wow, oh, she's going to show me everything. I say you can then make a proper informed decision. And you know what? I will give you a like for like comparison. Sometimes I call it an apples for apples comparison. And they think, oh, wow, how good is that? Now, you then say to them, okay, I'm looking at my diary and I can see I'm available. Oh, first of all, do you work during the day? Great question to ask. They might say no. Okay, so could I possibly see you during the day? That's what I usually say, because I want to see them during the day if I can. I usually say things like, I prefer not to go out in the evenings these days. Yeah, I sort of really pick what I want. So they say, yeah, great. And I'll say, okay, so I'm looking at my diary. Now, please don't book 2 weeks in advance. The further away you book, the less likely it is to happen. You need to make it ideally a couple of days to a week. That's the perfect time scale. Why? Because it's still in their mind. However, there's a way to really what we call seal this in. Okay. So I say to them, oh, well, I've got Thursday, Friday here. Can't do first thing Friday morning, but I've got most of the day Thursday and I can do after 11 on Friday. Is that any good for you? Now, this is called the alternative close. And what it does is it helps people think, oh, my brain's got to engage. Oh, I better look at my calendar. I better look at my diary. Instead of, no, I'm busy next week. Yeah. So now they're looking, and then they say, oh, I can do Friday. I say, so any time after 11, what's best for you? And they say, for example, could it be after lunch? I say, what is that? 1:30, 2? Yeah. See, now you think you've got an appointment. No, you haven't, ladies and gentlemen. You haven't. You've got to actually seal this in. So before you write this in your diary, you look at them and you say, okay, so you're saying 1:30 on Friday. Can I just ask you something? Is there anything on 1:30 Friday? Is there anything at all that could get in the way? Sure you haven't got a doctor's appointment? Dental appointment? Any chance of the family dropping over? Because when I make this, I'm setting this time aside, especially for you. And it means that I can't help anybody else. I can't help anyone else. What is that really saying? What's the psychology? The psychology is, don't you dare let me down. But it's done in a really nice way. It's allowing them to realize that this is important. It's important. So then when they say, no, it's fine, there's nothing at all, I then say to them, okay, I'm setting this time especially aside for you. Those are the words I use. It means everybody else can go and do one, and I will make the effort and come and see you. Now, there's things that you need. So now I'm setting this appointment really up. I don't just like do it in the scheme. When I make appointments, showing them is usually the short bit. The setting the appointment up is where most people don't spend the time, but that's when you need to spend the time. You need a good 5 minutes to do this. Okay, so I say to them, right, 1:30 Friday, excellent. So better take your address. Okay, get that down. Then I say to them, anything I should know about parking? Any problems? Now you're really sealing this in. And then I usually have a bit of a joke and I say, I'm dirt cheap. As long as you can put the kettle on with hot water, I'll bring my slices of lemon and we'll be all set. And then I say to them, ideally, it'd be great if you could already have ready your latest energy statement. Now, more than likely, it's online. And most people struggle to find it because they can't remember passwords. And you can find out masses in that moment because lots of things are revealed. And then I say, but other than that, you just need to know how much you spend each month on broadband and mobile. And then they often ask about insurance, and I say, well, that's something that we'll show you. I'm not able to talk about it because I'm not FCA regulated, but it will all be there for you to have a look at. Now that is a great appointment. Now I'm with them. I now have a little card that says, we will be meeting, and it's got my name at, and I've got the day, the time. It doesn't have my website on purpose. I don't want them looking at the website. It has my mobile number. That's it. Yeah. As I hand it to them, I shake their hands, and this is key psychological stuff. I shake their hands in such a warm and friendly way. Sometimes I built up such rapport, I get hugs. The ones I get the hugs from, I know are never going to break because it's all about building relationships. Now, if you've made it for about 4 days away, do you still phone them? Oh, this is a controversial thing. There would be people that would say no. I do, but do you know what I do? I ring them up that morning. So if it was for 1:30 in the morning, I ring them up and say, hi, this is an assumption. Please hear this. I say, hi, it's Lisa Ware, coming to see you. I've got my lemons at the ready. I forgot. Can you just remind me about the parking? It's not, are you available? It's, I'm coming to see you. And if you do it in such a nice, friendly way, what you're doing is you are really sealing that in. How much nicer you were feeling that if you're getting in the car, that you know it's like they're expecting. Yeah. Now those are the perfect appointments. Oh, what's the other ones? Well, the next best to that, I guess, is Zoom. Zoom, you're still seeing each other, but I'm now going to be honest. Zoom requires not a lot of effort, does it? Nobody's getting in their car, making an effort going anywhere. The fact that they feel they're not letting anyone down, making an effort for them, how much easier is it to cancel? Do you not feel that if you make a Zoom appointment, actually, it's really making sure that they realize it's just as important? So I will say things like, right, we're meeting on Zoom. I'm putting that time aside, especially for you. It means the team are losing out on coaching and all sorts of things. I can't support anyone else. I'm not being nasty. I'm telling the truth. This is making an effort for somebody. It's equally as important, but I feel that people are more flippant, more flaky about it. So you've still got to do the same thing, which is what we call consolidating that appointment. You've come up with a time. You've got to consolidate it. You've got to spend that time making sure it's right. Can I promise you one thing? It still doesn't seal it in. You will still have somebody that could call you in the morning, all right, and say, I am so sorry. I have woken up with the worst throat you can imagine. Come on. In that instance, you can hear it, can't you? Hey, I will give people slack. Yeah. I don't particularly want their germs anyway. All right. But I think also being fair to them, you want them in a good mental state anyway, because you want them to be able to think. What are the other things that help consolidation? Well, it's the good old stuff that we used to teach. If there are two people in the house that make decisions, really vital that they're both there. How can you get round this? Right. You know, when you're making the appointment, whether it's over the phone or whether it's, you're there, I always say to them, this is a great one and it works. If it's like a guy and I say to him, do you mind me asking, um, does the lady in the house wear the trousers with you? And he usually has a laugh, and I say, you know what I mean. I said, does she make decisions over bills too? And if he says, no, I do, and I say, sorry to not to, be awful, but I find these days that both people tend to make these kind of decisions. And if they still say, yeah, no, it's fine, I can make that decision. I then say, would they be cross with you for getting simpler billing, better customer service, and I'm possibly going to knock £500 or £600 off it? Isn't that a good way of putting it? Because I'm telling you now, if I had £1 for everyone says, oh no, I make the decisions, then you get there and then they go, oh, I better run it by my partner. I tell you what, I want to. So there is a lot of things we need to do to consolidate these appointments. Really, really important, isn't it? Yeah. It's stuff that matters. I did a supported on Saturday, and it was a best friend. She was lovely, although there were kids screaming in the background, having a full-blown kind of Benny, and it was like, how on earth am I doing this? In the end, she finally said to these two children, which weren't young, they looked about 10, can you go out? I'm trying to do something here. And I thought, oh, by the way, little tips, stuff from old. You guys know this. Pets. How can you tactfully have pets out of the room? I'll tell you why. Dogs are people's replacement children. And if you've got a dog in the room, it will be petted the whole time and they're not listening to you. I promise. I have so much experience of this. So I found a fantastic way of getting the animals out of the room. I usually tell a white lie and say, I hope you don't mind, as much as I love doggies, I'm afraid I'm allergic to their fur. It's going to be hard enough for me anyway. Would you mind awfully if they're out the room? Because I don't want to have a throat that swells up and that. Now, it's a white lie, but it works perfect. And what usually happens is that they are out the room and you can get their concentration. That goes for cats too. I did turn up at the appointment. They had 13 cats. Can you imagine that? They were actually crawling all over my good old folder in those days. And it was like, this was impossible. So I cover myself with everything. I've got everything. I am making this appointment as far as I can, as seamless as possible. Really, really important. Yeah. Animals, even on a Zoom, if they're in the background and they're yapping, do you know what? It's so hard. So just kind of like set the scene. When we come on Zoom, can you make sure it's in a room where it's sort of fairly quiet? There's no harm in saying that, because there'll be stuff that I'll be sharing with you and I'd hate you to miss anything. There's the way to do it. I'd hate you to miss anything. Another one. Ever been on an appointment face to face or Zoom and the TV never goes off? Years ago, I learned to say, oh, if you don't mind, can that go off? I'm so easily distracted. A lovely way of getting it switched off. Because some people have it on night and day, don't they? Yeah. And believe me, if it's on in the background, even on Zoom, they're distracted. How can they possibly concentrate? Yeah. So guys, I don't know whether that about consolidating appointments, keeping those appointments helps, but I'd say to you, don't give out websites all the time. Kind, be generous, be nice to them. But what you're doing is sealing it in to prevent cancellations and sharing the love of UW. Same time, same place. Any questions?
Can I just ask you a question, Lisa? I know once upon a time you used to get the time of the appointment put in their diaries. Do you still do that?
Put in their diary.
When you're on a 20K,
Yeah.
okay, make the appointment. It's in my diary. Shall we put it in yours? Do you still do that?
Yes, sometimes I do that, but I always write it down and say, as soon as you get home, make sure. Here's the big one. You know, sometimes they say, I haven't got a diary on nothing. I haven't got a clue. Here you go. Are you ready for this? I know you haven't got a clue, but if you did have a clue, when would it be? Now, I know Val's laughing, but this stuff works. I know you haven't got a clue. I know you can't remember, but if you could remember, when would be the best time? And do you know what? It's amazing how all of a sudden, from the depths of their brain, they remember that they're available so-and-so. Because what it is most of the time people are just lazy, just can't be bothered. Yeah. You know, when it's like bills, the same thing. I know you're going to struggle to find a bill, but if you did have to find it, any ideas where it'd be? All right. So, guys, I'm going to say, if that's okay, we'll call it a day. And please, I do invite your ideas for stuff to help. All right. And see you next week.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.